The stars still burned in the night sky when the small human craft came down in flames. It tore through the clouds like a falling comet, shaking the quiet land below. The people of this hidden world did not notice at first, for the forest was wide and deep. But the ground where the ship struck glowed with smoke and fire. Inside the wreck, one human still breathed. His name was Darren, a warrior who had fought in battles among the stars. His ship had been hit during a raid, and he had no choice but to escape before it broke apart. Now he lay on strange soil, his armor scorched, his body bruised, yet his spirit alive. Slowly, he pushed himself up and looked around. The forest was unlike any he had seen before. Trees reached high with silver leaves that shimmered even in the dark. Flowers gave off soft light, glowing like lanterns. The air was calm, but filled with distant sounds, calls of creatures he did not know. Darren tried to steady himself. He was alone, far from Earth, without his team, without command. His first thought was survival. He gathered what little gear remained, a short blade, and a half-burnt pack of supplies. But before he could plan his next move, he felt eyes on him. From the shadows, someone was watching. She stood half-hidden behind the glowing trees, her hands pressed close to her chest. Princess Arya, though Darren did not know her name yet, had never seen a human before. She had heard stories of them from old records, creatures of fire, will, and strength, but seeing one with her own eyes made her heart beat faster. She wanted to leave, to run back to the safety of her palace walls, but something held her still. The human looked hurt. His face was tired, but his eyes were sharp, full of life. Darren sensed the presence and turned his head. His hand tightened on the blade. "Who's there?" His voice cut the silence. The figure stepped out slowly, her silver gown brushing the grass. The moonlight touched her face, soft and calm, though her eyes lowered as if afraid to meet his. She looked young, delicate, with markings on her skin that glowed faintly. Her crown was simple, a band of light metal, but it marked her as someone important. Arya tried to speak, but her voice caught. She lifted her chin, trying to appear composed, but inside she trembled. "You are not of this world," she finally said, her tone quiet yet steady. Darren lowered his weapon slightly but did not relax. "I am not here to harm," he said. "My ship fell. I am stranded." Arya studied him carefully. She had been taught that humans were dangerous, always seeking to take and conquer. Yet, this one looked broken, not like an invader but a survivor. Still, she could not let her guard fall. "You should not be here," she whispered. Her hands gripped her gown tightly, though she tried to hide her nerves. "This land is forbidden to outsiders." Darren gave a weak laugh, shaking his head. "I didn't exactly plan to visit. My ship had other ideas." He straightened his back, trying to show strength despite the pain. For a moment, silence lay between them. Only the soft glow of the forest lit their faces. Arya's thoughts raced. Should she call the guards? Should she leave him to the night? Yet something in her heart told her to stay. Finally, she said, "You are injured. You cannot last long here." Darren raised an eyebrow. "And you? You would help me?" Arya's cheeks warmed. She looked away, forcing her voice to remain calm. "It is not proper to leave one who suffers. Even if he is human." Her words carried both caution and hidden kindness. Darren studied her, noticing the tremor in her voice. She wanted to appear strong, yet her shyness showed in every glance she avoided. Still, there was bravery in her standing before him, alone and unarmed. "Then I thank you, stranger," Darren said softly. "But who are you?" Arya hesitated. She could not reveal her true self, not yet. Her people's law was clear: never expose the royal name to outsiders. She drew in a breath, lifted her chin, and replied, just a guide of these woods. Though her tone was calm, Darren caught the slight shake in her words. He chose not to press further. Then guide, can you lead me to water? Shelter. Arya nodded quickly, though her hands still trembled at her sides. Follow me, she said. As they began to walk through the glowing forest, Arya kept her eyes ahead, trying hard not to show her unease. Her heart beat fast, each step heavy. She had met humans only in legends, yet here one walked beside her. She told herself to stay composed, to hide the nervous stir inside her chest. Darren walked behind her, careful with his steps. He noticed how her voice softened each time she spoke, how she carried herself with grace but also with a kind of hidden fear. He did not know her story yet, but he sensed she was not just a simple guide. For now, though, both kept their secrets. The forest opened into a small clearing where crystal water flowed from a stone. Arya pointed with a steady hand, though she avoided his gaze. Here, she said. Darren knelt, drinking deeply, the cool water easing his throat. He looked up at her with a faint smile. I owe you, guide. Without you, I might have not made it through the night. Arya lowered her eyes, trying not to reveal the small warmth his words brought. She turned away quickly, hiding her face. And so the night began, the first meeting of the human warrior and the shy alien princess, both strangers, both uncertain, yet bound by fate that neither could see. The first light of dawn touched the forest, painting the silver leaves with soft gold. Birds with crystal wings sang from high branches, filling the air with strange yet gentle music. Darren sat near the stream, his reflection broken by the rippling water. He had survived the crash, but his mind still carried the weight of battle. Behind him, Princess Arya stood quietly, her hands folded in front of her. She watched the human warrior without speaking. Every time she tried to open her mouth, the words dissolved before leaving her lips. She reminded herself that she was a princess, trained to be calm, wise, and composed. Yet around this stranger, her calm felt fragile, like thin glass. Finally, Darren turned his head. You've been standing there a while, he said. His voice was steady, but not unkind. Are you guarding me, or just making sure I don't wander off? Arya felt her cheeks warm. She looked down at the grass, pretending to study its silver strands. I must keep watch, she said softly. Your presence is unusual. My people would not understand. Darren gave a small smile. I'm guessing they don't welcome outsiders. She nodded once. Outsiders bring danger. Raiders, thieves, conquerors. Many worlds have tried to take what is not theirs. Her words carried a sharp truth, and Darren felt the sting of it. Humanity's history was full of conflict. Yet he did not come here as a conqueror. I don't plan to take anything, he said firmly. All I want is to live. Maybe find a way back to my people. Arya's gaze lifted slightly, meeting his for the first time. Her eyes were bright, glowing faintly like stars reflected in water. For a moment, she almost believed his words without question. But she quickly lowered her eyes again, reminding herself to be cautious. We will see, she whispered. They spent the morning moving deeper into the forest. Arya walked ahead, her long gown brushing softly against the grass. Darren followed, limping slightly from his wounds but refusing to slow down. He noticed how careful she was, how each step seemed measured, almost like she carried not just her own weight, but the weight of her people as well. After a while, he broke the silence. This place, it's beautiful. The air feels alive. Arya allowed herself a faint smile. It is sacred. The land protects us. But it also hides us. Few from the stars have walked here. And yet, Darren said, glancing around, you hide from raiders. Who are they? Her face grew tense. She hesitated, gripping her hands together before speaking. They are hunters of power. They move from world to world, taking resources, taking lives. They care nothing for balance. I fear they will come here soon. Darren frowned. He had fought raiders before. Ruthless, cruel, and clever. If that's true, then you'll need strong defenses, he said. Arya slowed her steps. She wanted to appear calm, but the thought of battle made her chest tighten. We are not warriors like you, she admitted quietly. We live by peace. My people are skilled in healing, in guiding the land. But against raiders, we are weak. Darren walked beside her now, his voice steady. Weak? I don't think so. You're still standing. That means strength. Her heart stirred at his words, though she quickly tried to hide it. Strength, she repeated softly. I do not always feel it. Then lean on mine, Darren said without hesitation. I've faced raiders before. If they come here, I'll fight them. You don't have to do it alone. Arya stopped walking. She turned to him, her face half hidden by the morning light. For a long moment she said nothing, her lips pressed tightly as if to keep her feelings inside. At last she spoke, her voice calm but trembling just slightly. Why? Why would you help a people not your own? Darren met her eyes. Because it's right. And because I owe you. Without you last night, I might have died. Arya's breath caught in her throat. She turned quickly, afraid he might see the warmth rising in her cheeks. She had tried so hard to remain composed, but his words made her heart beat faster. They continued walking until they reached the edge of a hidden valley. Below them, fields stretched wide, dotted with crystal towers that shimmered like glass. A city, alive with quiet beauty, spread across the land. Darren stared in awe. Your home, he said softly. Arya nodded, standing tall though her hands shook slightly. Yes. This is where my people live. But you must not be seen, not yet. If they learn I brought you here, she paused, unable to finish. Then keep it a secret, Darren said. At least for now. Her eyes lingered on him, full of conflict. She wanted to trust, yet fear held her back. Still, she gave a small nod. You will stay in the outer woods. I will bring you food and water. Until I decide, her voice trailed, uncertain. Until you decide if I'm worth trusting, Darren finished for her. Arya said nothing, only looked away, her silence an answer in itself. That night, when the city lights glowed below, Arya returned to her chamber. She sat by her window, hands clasped tightly. Her mind replayed every word, every glance. She had kept her composure in front of him, but barely. The human's presence was like a storm pressing against her calm. And far above, in the darkness of space, the raiders were already moving. The days passed quietly in the silver forest. Darren built a small shelter with broken parts of his craft and branches from the glowing trees. Each morning, Princess Arya returned, bringing food wrapped in leaf cloth and water from the crystal streams. She came in silence, always careful, always composed, but her eyes never met his for long. At first, their words were few. Darren spoke little, resting and healing from his wounds. Arya, though shy, began to ask small questions. She wanted to know about the stars beyond her world, about the ships that crossed the skies, and about Earth. Darren answered patiently, his voice steady, though his heart carried a quiet ache for his lost crew. Earth is green and blue, he said one evening as the firelight warmed their camp. Forests, oceans, mountains. Not so different from here, except your trees glow and our don't. Arya gave a faint laugh, covering her lips with her hand as if embarrassed by the sound. I thought humans had no time for beauty. Only for war. Darren looked into the flames. War doesn't erase beauty. Sometimes it makes us fight harder, so we don't lose it. Her smile faded. She folded her hands together tightly. His words touched something inside her, something she kept hidden from her people. For even as a princess, she often felt weak, unable to stand strong as her role demanded. That night, as Darren rested, Arya sat nearby in silence. Her heart wanted to speak, but fear held her tongue. How could she trust a human, when her people feared them so deeply? Yet she felt his strength, and it gave her courage. The next day, the sound of distant horns reached the forest. Arya froze, her eyes wide. She knew that signal well, it was the call of the outer watchtowers. Raiders had been seen near the borders. She turned quickly to Darren. You must stay hidden. If the guards find you now, they will not listen. They will see you as an enemy. Darren frowned, standing tall despite his wounds. If raiders are near, you'll need every fighter you can get. But Arya shook her head, pressing her hands to her chest. No. Please. Not yet. My people, they would not believe me if I defended you. Let me go first. I will learn what has happened. Her voice was trembling, though she tried to keep it calm. Darren saw her fear and also her strength. He gave a slow nod. Go, then. But come back. Arya hurried toward the valley, her gown brushing the silver grass. Her heart beat fast, not just from the alarm, but from the secret she carried. For she had hidden the truth from him. She was not only a guide of the forest, she was the princess of this land, the only heir to the throne, and the guardian of a power the raiders sought. That evening, when she returned to the camp, Darren could see the worry written across her face. She sat by the fire, her hands trembling as she tried to steady them. He waited quietly, giving her space. At last she spoke. The raiders grow closer. They have not entered the valley yet, but they circle like wolves. Darren's jaw tightened. Then you need to prepare. Arm your people. Train them. Arya lowered her eyes. It is not so simple. She drew a deep breath, her voice breaking slightly. I must tell you something. Darren leaned forward, watching her carefully. I am not only a guide, she whispered. Her hands gripped her gown, knuckles pale. I am Arya, daughter of the High Queen. This land is my kingdom. And it is my duty to protect it. The words hung heavy in the night air. For a long moment, Darren said nothing. His eyes studied her, not with shock, but with understanding. A princess, he said quietly. I thought you carried yourself with more than just caution. Now I know why. Arya's face warmed, and she quickly looked away. I wanted to keep it secret. If my people learned I sheltered you, they would call me foolish. They would say I trusted too easily. And do you? Darren asked gently. She turned back to him, her eyes shining in the firelight. I do not know. You are human. My heart tells me you mean no harm, but my duty tells me to be careful. Darren gave a slow nod. That's fair. But if raiders are coming, then you'll need help. I don't care if I'm human or not, I'll fight for you, princess. That's what I know how to do. Her heart trembled at his words. She tried to keep her face calm, her voice even, but it wavered as she replied, if you fight not only for me, but for all my people. Then I'll fight for all of them, Darren said firmly. Silence fell between them, broken only by the crackle of the fire. Arya's hand slowly relaxed. She had revealed her secret, and instead of judgment, she had found strength. Above the trees, the night sky burned with distant lights, raider ships, faint but growing closer. Arya lifted her gaze to them, her heart heavy. She had tried so hard to keep her composure before the human warrior, but now she understood, her fate, and the fate of her people, was tied to him. And deep inside, she was not as afraid as before. The next morning, the sun rose over the valley, casting golden light across crystal towers and silver fields. Princess Arya led Darren to a small courtyard, where her people had gathered. These were not warriors, they were healers, scholars, and guides. Yet now, with raiders approaching, they had no choice but to prepare for battle. Darren studied them carefully. He could see their hesitation, their fear, but also their loyalty to the princess. He turned to Arya. Your people are brave, but they need guidance. If they fight without training, they may not survive. Arya nodded, her usual composure in place, though her hands trembled slightly. I understand. Can you teach them? I can, Darren said firmly. But you must also lead. They need to see their princess not as someone distant, but as someone strong. Arya swallowed. Her throat felt tight. Speaking to a group was difficult for her, she had always been shy and quiet. Yet she nodded. I will try. The first lessons began that morning. Darren taught basic combat strategies, how to use the terrain, and how to defend without panic. The people watched carefully, repeating his movements. Some stumbled, others hesitated. Arya stood nearby, giving instructions when she could, her voice soft but determined. She noticed how Darren spoke to each of her people with patience. He never raised his voice, never demanded obedience. He guided, corrected, and encouraged. Slowly, Arya felt inspired. Perhaps she could do the same. During a break, she approached Darren. They listen to you because you are strong. I am not used to giving orders. Darren smiled. Strength is not just about power. It's about courage, care, and willingness to act. You already have that. You just need to see it in yourself. Arya's cheeks warmed. She looked down, fiddling with the hem of her gown. Courage. I feel it only when I hide my fear. Then don't hide it, Darren said gently. Use it. People follow those who are honest, who show their hearts as well as their minds. She looked at him, unsure. His words were simple, but they struck deep. For the first time, Arya wondered if she could lead not by perfection, but by her own example. Training continued throughout the day. Darren moved among the people, correcting stances, showing how to shield themselves, and teaching how to work together. Arya watched, occasionally giving directions in her quiet voice. Each time she spoke, she felt her confidence grow, though she tried hard not to let Darren notice her blushes or trembling hands. By evening, the courtyard was filled with movement. The people were learning quickly, their fear replaced by focus. Even the youngest among them could hold a practice weapon correctly. Darren gave them small challenges, encouraging teamwork and strategy. Arya began to step closer, speaking directly to them with authority she had never shown before. After the final drill, Arya took a deep breath and turned to Darren. I think I am ready to speak to the whole city, if necessary. Darren nodded, impressed. Good. And remember, lead with your heart, not just your words. They will follow your courage. Arya's heart raced. It was easier said than done. Yet, standing beside Darren, watching her people, she felt a small spark of strength inside her. Perhaps she could be the leader they needed. That night, Arya and Darren sat by the stream again, the moonlight reflecting off the water. Arya's face was softer than usual, the shyness still there but less pronounced. You have taught me much today, she said quietly. Not only for my people, but for myself. Darren smiled. And you have taught me something too. Even the shyest person can be brave when they care about others. Arya's eyes met his briefly, then looked away, her cheeks flushing. She had tried so hard to keep her composure, yet she could not hide the small warmth growing in her chest. Suddenly, the faint sound of drums echoed through the valley. Raider signals, getting closer. Arya's stomach tightened. She realized that all their training, all their preparation, would soon be tested. Darren placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "Don't worry. We will face them together. You and I, your people, all of us. You are ready for this, even if you don't believe it yet." Arya swallowed hard. She nodded, her hands tightening into fists. She was still shy, still unsure, but something inside her had changed. For the first time, she felt not just responsibility, but courage. The human warrior beside her had shown her the way, not by commanding, but by believing in her. And now, for the first time, Arya believed in herself too. Above them, the stars shone bright, indifferent to battles below, but somehow guiding those who dared to fight with courage. And for the shy princess, the first true lesson of leadership had begun. The sun rose slowly over the valley, painting the crystal towers with gold and silver. Princess Arya stood at the edge of the courtyard, her hands gripping the hilt of a simple sword. Around her, her people had gathered, their faces pale but determined. Today would be their first real test. Darren stood beside her, his armor worn but his eyes sharp. He could feel the tension in the air, the fear mixed with courage. "Remember," he said quietly, "strength is not just in fighting. It's in staying calm, thinking, and protecting those who cannot protect themselves." Arya nodded, her voice calm but steady. "I understand." She looked at her people. For so long, they had relied on peace and wisdom, not on weapons and battle strategies. Now, they were ready to fight for their home. She took a deep breath. "We defend our land. Together. No matter the fear." A murmur of agreement passed through the group. Their eyes met hers, and she saw the spark of trust and courage. For the first time, she realized that even her shy heart could inspire others. The raiders came in waves, dark ships cutting through the morning light. Their engines roared as they landed outside the city walls, bringing their soldiers onto the silver fields. The people of Arya's kingdom trembled, but she stood tall, her voice rising above the noise. "Form ranks. Protect the gates. Trust your training," she commanded. Darren moved quickly among the defenders, positioning them in strategic points, showing them how to use barriers and terrain. "Stay together. Watch each other's backs," he called. The first clash was sudden. Raiders rushed forward with heavy weapons. Arya's people hesitated at first, unsure of how to strike. But then, seeing her lead from the front, courage filled their hearts. She swung her sword with careful precision, defending those nearest her. Darren fought beside her, his movements fast and controlled. Together, they blocked the raiders' advance, guiding the defenders with words and example. Arya's shyness had faded in the heat of battle, replaced by a focused determination. She felt the rhythm of the fight, the trust of her people, and the steady strength of Darren at her side. At one point, a raider broke through the front line, charging toward a group of young defenders. Arya's heart pounded, but she did not hesitate. With a swift move, she intercepted him, forcing him back with a skillful strike. The children behind her gasped, then regained confidence, stepping forward to defend their home. Darren glanced at her, impressed. She had kept her composure even in the chaos. "Good," he shouted, "keep moving. Protect each other." The battle raged for hours. The raiders were strong and relentless, but the defenders had learned well. They worked as one, inspired by their princess and guided by the human warrior. Arya's commands became firmer, more confident. Each shout, each movement, strengthened her resolve. At a critical moment, a raider captain appeared, larger and fiercer than the rest. He lunged at Arya, aiming for a quick strike. Her eyes widened, but she remembered Darren's lesson: stay calm, watch carefully, and act with precision. She sidestepped and deflected his attack, using his momentum against him. With one strong move, She pushed him back, and her people surged forward, driving the raiders into retreat. The sound of victory echoed through the valley. The raiders, surprised and defeated, fled to their ships and vanished beyond the hills. Arya's people cheered, though they were tired and shaken. Arya lowered her sword, her hands trembling slightly. She had fought, led, and won. Her shyness returned in a small wave, but it was tempered by pride. She had faced her fear, and her people had followed her. Darren came to her side, his smile warm but tired. "You did it," he said. "They listened to you. You were brave, and they saw it." Arya looked down, her cheeks pink. I tried to stay calm. I did not want to falter." "You did more than that," Darren replied. "You led. You inspired them. That is true courage." For a moment, she allowed herself to feel relief and pride. The shy princess, who had once trembled at the thought of speaking to strangers, had faced an army and led her people to victory. The sun climbed higher, casting light over the fields still littered with signs of battle. Arya's people tended to the wounded, their fear slowly replaced by confidence. And in the midst of it all, the princess felt something she had never expected: a quiet trust in the human warrior who had stood beside her, steady and strong. That night, as she sat by the crystal stream with Darren, her hands still a little shaky, she whispered, "I never thought I could do it. Not without your guidance." Darren shook his head. "You could have done it on your own. I only helped you see what was already inside." Arya's eyes glimmered in the moonlight. She tried to hide the warmth in her chest, but she could not. She had learned that courage was not the absence of fear, it was acting despite it. And she had done it, for her people, and for herself. The first battle was won. But the valley would not remain quiet for long. And the shy princess knew that with Darren beside her, she was ready to face whatever came next. The cell was quiet except for the low hum of the enemy ship. The walls were grey metal, and a single blue light shone from above. Lena sat in the corner, her hands folded tightly together. She tried to keep calm, but her heart was heavy. She was a princess, trained to look composed in front of others, yet inside she felt small and helpless. Across from her, Aaron leaned against the wall, his arms crossed. His face was calm, though his eyes studied every detail of the cell: the ceiling, the door, the corners. He was not sitting still out of hopelessness. He was thinking. Lena finally spoke, her voice soft. "What are you looking at?" Aaron glanced at her. "A way out." She blinked. "There is no way out. Their ship is too strong. Their guards are too many." Aaron gave a small smile. "Every prison has a weakness. You just have to look for it." Lena lowered her head. She wanted to believe him, but doubt filled her. She had grown up inside royal walls, with guards protecting her every step. She was not trained to fight or escape. But Aaron, he was different. He was human, and humans never seemed to give up. After a few minutes of silence, Aaron spoke again. "Do you see that panel near the door?" he asked, pointing with his chin. Lena looked. A small vent was there, almost hidden. "Yes," she said. "That vent leads to the maintenance tunnels. If we can open it, we can move through the ship without being seen." Lena shook her head. "But it is locked. And even if we open it, the guards will notice." Aaron's eyes shone with determination. "That's why we need a distraction. And I think we can make one." He stepped closer to the door and examined the small energy field that sealed it. It was not as strong as he expected. "They think we are weak." "That's their mistake," he whispered. Lena watched him with wide eyes. His confidence was strange to her. He spoke as if victory was already near. She wanted to ask how he could be so sure, but instead she said, "What do you want me to do?" Aaron turned to her. I need you to help me open that panel. Once inside, we move quickly. I will lead, and you must trust me. Lena's hands trembled. Trust was not easy for her, but something in his calm voice gave her courage. She nodded. I will try. Aaron smiled again, a small but warm smile. That's all I ask. When the guard came to check on them, Aaron moved first. He pretended to stumble and fall near the door. The guard laughed, thinking the human was weak. But when he bent closer, Aaron sprang up and struck with quick precision. The guard fell silently. Lena gasped softly, but Aaron raised his hand to calm her. Stay steady. We don't have long. He took the guard's small tool and hurried to the vent. With fast hands, he unlocked the panel. The cover slid off, revealing a narrow passage. Ladies first, he whispered. Lena hesitated. The tunnel was dark and narrow, nothing like the grand halls she was used to. But she swallowed her fear and climbed in. Aaron followed right after, sealing the vent behind them. The tunnel was cramped, but they moved forward. Each sound of their crawling echoed in the metal walls. Lena's heart raced, but she kept going. At last, they reached another vent that overlooked a control room. Inside, enemy crew members worked at their stations. Bright screens showed maps of stars and fleets. Aaron leaned close to her and whispered, "This is it. If we can shut down their defense grid, your people's fleet will be able to strike." Lena's eyes widened. But how? I cannot work their machines. Aaron's lips curved into a grin. That's where being human helps. We don't always know the right way, but we know how to improvise. He pulled a small wire from the guard's stolen tool and began to work on the panel. Sparks flashed, and the machines inside crackled. Soon, alarms began to sound. The enemy crew rushed around in confusion, shouting orders. Systems flickered, shields dropped, and the whole ship shook. Lena covered her mouth in surprise. You did it, she whispered. Aaron looked at her, his face calm even as chaos spread below them. No, we did it. You trusted me, and that gave me strength. For the first time since meeting him, Lena felt her shyness fade. She looked at him not as a stranger, but as someone she could stand beside. The sound of heavy boots echoed in the hall outside. More guards were coming. Aaron turned to her, his eyes sharp but steady. Are you ready, princess? He asked. Lena took a deep breath. Her heart still raced, but now it was not only from fear. It was from courage she never thought she had. She lifted her chin and said, yes. I will not hide anymore. Lead the way, human warrior. Aaron nodded. Then let's finish this. Together, they prepared for the next step of their daring escape. For the first time, Lena felt not only like a princess but like a fighter standing beside someone she could truly trust. The alarms of the enemy flagship echoed through every hallway. Red lights flashed, and loud warning tones filled the air. Soldiers ran in every direction, trying to fix the sudden collapse of their defense systems. The ship was a giant of steel and fire, but now it shook with confusion. Inside the maintenance tunnel, Lena and Aaron crouched near the vent. They could hear the shouts of the enemy crew below, voices filled with panic. Aaron looked at Lena. His voice was steady, even with danger all around. This is our chance. Your fleet will sense the weakness in the shields. But we need to reach the hangar before the ship seals itself. Lena nodded. She wanted to appear calm, but her heart pounded. She was no longer only a shy princess who stayed silent. For the first time, she wanted to act. They crawled through the tunnel until they found another exit. Aaron kicked it open, and they dropped into a narrow hallway. Enemy soldiers turned in surprise, but Aaron was faster. He moved with sharp precision, using his fists and quick strikes to bring them down before they could sound the alarm. Lena watched in awe. He had no special weapons, no armor, only courage and skill. She realized why humans were different. They did not wait for perfect chances, they created them. When the last guard fell, Aaron turned back to her. "We keep moving," he said. They ran through the hallways, following the path toward the hangar. Each corner brought new dangers, but Aaron guided her like he had walked the ship before. He noticed every sound, every shadow, and every mistake the enemy made. Lena followed close behind, her fear slowly turning into resolve. At last, they reached the hangar doors. Through the wide window, Lena could see the vast space outside. Stars stretched across the black sky, and far in the distance, she spotted the faint glow of her people's fleet. Her voice shook. "They are here." Aaron smiled. "Then we make sure they see us." The hangar doors opened, and more soldiers rushed in. A dozen, maybe more. Their weapons glowed, and their eyes locked on the princess and the human. Lena froze. It was too many. She felt her hands tremble again, her old shyness pulling her back. But then she heard Aaron's voice, strong and clear. "Stay behind me. And when the time comes, speak to your people. Don't hold back." She nodded, forcing herself to breathe steady. Aaron rushed forward. The hangar filled with movement, soldiers shouting, weapons firing, sparks flying. Aaron weaved between them, using their own confusion against them. He fought with speed, striking, dodging, and never stopping. Lena could only watch, her eyes wide. Every moment, she feared he would fall, but he kept standing. His strength was not only in his body but in his will. He fought as if no enemy could break him. Then Lena saw the ship's main console near the hangar wall. A communication link blinked there. This was her chance. She ran to it, her heart racing. Her fingers hovered over the controls. For years, she had avoided speaking in public. She had hidden behind silence, letting others speak for her. But now there was no one else. Her people needed her voice. She pressed the control. The screen lit up, connecting to the fleet outside. "Attention," she said, her voice trembling. For a moment, nothing else came. Then she remembered Aaron's words, "Don't hold back." She straightened her shoulders and spoke again, louder this time. "This is Princess Lena. The enemy flagship is weak. Their shields are down. Now is the time to strike." Her words carried through the stars, reaching every ship in her fleet. She saw the flashes of engines as her people charged forward, their warships ready to fight. Behind her, Aaron fought with the last of his strength. More guards fell, and finally, silence filled the hangar. He stood breathing hard, but his eyes still shone with focus. He turned to her. "You did it?" Lena's lips parted. "No, we did it." Outside the window, the battle began. Her fleet clashed with the enemy, beams of light cutting across space. The flagship shook as heavy fire struck its hull. Alarms screamed louder than ever. Aaron pointed toward a small shuttle. "That's our way out. Come on." They rushed to it, climbing inside just as the flagship trembled under another wave of attacks. The shuttle lifted, racing out into space. Lena looked back through the window, watching the massive enemy ship crumble under fire. Her people's fleet moved as one, taking victory that had once seemed impossible. Inside the shuttle, Lena sat beside Aaron. For the first time, she felt no need to hide her face or her voice. She looked at him openly. "You gave me courage," she said softly. Aaron shook his head. "No. You already had it. You just needed to stop hiding it." Her composure finally broke. A shy smile spread across her face, not the polished expression of a princess, but something real. She felt warmth in her chest, a feeling she could no longer deny. For so long, she had tried to keep her emotions hidden, to appear calm and distant. But beside the human warrior, she learned that strength did not mean silence. It meant standing tall, even when afraid. As the shuttle carried them toward the safety of her fleet, Lena whispered, "I will never forget this, Aaron. You showed me what it means to be brave." Aaron leaned back, his eyes on the stars. "And you showed me what it means to fight for more than survival. To fight for someone worth protecting." The shy alien princess no longer hid behind composure. And the human warrior had proven, once again, why humans were different, why they were special. Together, they had faced fear, broken silence, and turned the tide of a battle that would be remembered for generations.